Hola everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show, brought to you by Roofless Painters. I am Julio Panisello, the dream alchemist at Roofless Painters, an art school and gallery for nomads and misfits. And in each episode, we discuss what we are about to paint and also why we're going to paint it. We introduce the theme of the next painting collection. And we also talk about the genesis of the concept. We talk about the contemporary context, why we're going to paint what we are painting now and not before or any other time. And we also bring up stylistic and historical references as inspiration in the form of painting examples or photographs from the past. Our episodes are from live, messy, and varnished, just like our paintings. You can find all the episodes on in video format on our YouTube channel. Please check them out, follow us, and make some comments. You can also find the audio versions of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. So yeah, we have the Roofless Dog and Pony Show podcast, and it's perfect if you're just walking, you want to fall asleep, and you need to listen to some kind of like rambling about art and stuff like that. You will fall asleep. So please just listen to them. Also, for the very first time ever, and this is a little bit of an introduction, so everyone has a little bit of time to come in and watch this live. We are going to host our own private room on Clubhouse, which is an app that everyone's talking about. It's super annoying that everyone's talking about this app, but we have found this new social platform to be extremely useful, very good for artists, for educators, for art educators, and it doesn't require the labor-intensive content creation that it's so exhausting sometimes, and it has more of an interactive and productive, I would say, way of connecting with people. So please, right after the Dog and Pony Show, it's 11:05 a.m. in Pacific time on Thursday. We're going to open the room, and only if you follow us on Clubhouse we'll be able to invite you in. So we're super excited. We have a nice group of people that are going to continue the conversation after the presentation. So yeah, and we can just chat a little bit more about the theme, what you guys think about it, if you have any memories about what we're going to explain and talk about, if you have any anecdotes or any references that we have missed and you want to bring up. So I'm going to start by bringing, oh my goodness, I don't know. Oh yeah, perfect. So I just want to talk about, so going back to, I don't know what happened, but the reason why we're going to introduce a different painting theme this week, it's because we were reading some art news and blogs, and there is a website called Art Forum. It's a very important contemporary art magazine, and so there was an article about the recent publication of this book. The book title is The Hidden Mod in Modern Art in London 1957-1969, and it's written by an art historian, Thomas Crows, and there's a very good article that explains who the author is, what the book is about, and we just found some pieces of information in the book that we're not aware of, and that led us to a discovery of an artist that now we are very passionate about. So that's the book. We haven't purchased the book because it's brand new and it's very expensive, so maybe we'll just wait a few months until it's like secondhand somewhere. And hopefully the libraries will be open by then, and also secondhand bookstores will have the book. Sorry, Thomas Crow, but the book is very expensive. The book talks about this art movement, the mod art movement, and how it was an intersectional movement that combined art and music and fashion. And so everything's sort of like woven into the fabric of life. Everything is sort of like woven into the fabric of life at the time. And he essentially talks about different artists who lived, different contemporary artists at the time, and who were the seeds, or the actually the originators of pop art. Pop art did not originate in the US. It's an art movement that has its origins in the 1950s, and actually in London, to be precise. So there are a few artists mentioned in the book, and the author apparently sort of like goes back and forth talking about their body of work and how they identify themselves under that movement. And so definition of mod, the actual word mod comes from an abbreviation of modern. So that already tells you that post Second World War there was an intent or a drive or a focus to just change the discourse, to just take away the narrative from whoever was producing culture and then start something new. And there are some terms that I'm going to bring up because I feel like they help this idea of what a mod is, and also what how it could relate to our experience. So one expression, a mod as a self-deceiving, rude person. So there was something about the cultural phenomenon that wanted to break down rules by being rebellious and fighting against establishment and accepted rules of etiquette and behavior. So I'm going to bring some examples. Not yet. I'm going to bring some examples, but there's one paragraph or one part of the article that actually talks about the debate between or the debate about artists posing in front of paintings. And this was something that we haven't read before, actually spending some time just talking about how do we fit as artists throughout art history when we insert ourselves into the actual image. It's not just the product of our expression, but we are also part of it. And apparently in mod culture, that was something that it was unapologetic. Artists took pictures of themselves in front of their work. There is a specific reference I'm going to bring up about Jackson Pollock. His paintings being used by Vogue as backdrops of a fashion editorial. And when I read that, I thought, this is hilarious because it's sort of like doing the opposite of possibly what Jackson Pollock wanted to do. But I'm going to bring the images of that specific. This is one image. So in 19 In 1951, Vogue magazine published 4 pages of photographs by Cecile Beaton, in which 2 models showed the latest fashion creations in front of Jackson Pollock's Lavender Mist, number 28, number 27, and Autumn Rhythm. The Vogue photographs exemplify the dichotomy of American culture in the 1950s. The contrast between Pollock's paintings and the dresses emphasized the split between conformity within Cold War culture and the avant-garde modernist in post-war America. So this is a different article, but uses the word modernism, and it doesn't make any references to the mods in the UK. But I find very interesting to actually have a visual of a Jackson Pollock being used with a different function as a backdrop for a fashion editorial in 1951. And I don't have another image, but they're very interesting. I don't have another image, but continuing with this idea of artists inserting themselves in front of their work, and how this art historian brings up the reference of the 1951 collection of paintings. The mod artists, they actually were very unapologetic about doing that. And the author describes this as a way, not of like being narcissistic, but as a way of breaking, of part of being mod, of breaking the traditional cultural etiquette rules, or rules of etiquette. So I find it's interesting because from our perspective, taking pictures of ourselves is associated with a form of sort of like narcissism and egocentrism. But I find interesting that at the time it was part of being rebellious and breaking the rules. So the concept or the assignment or the theme for this week will be precisely that. We are going to do a self-portrait based assignment, in which we are going to insert ourselves in front of our own paintings, in front of or behind of. But the idea is to use this example or this historical reference about what the mod culture did in the 1950s and 60s and apply to ourselves today. I cannot find a conceptual reasoning why we're going to do that, but we will find it tomorrow when we start painting. I just love the fact that the article brings up an artist that we had no idea about. Pauline Bodie. Pauline Bodie was one of the most famous pop artists of the time that art history swept under the rug. We have Andy Warhol fatigue, where it's just completely saturated by a never-ending article after article, show after show, retrospective after retrospective of the what's called the quintessential pop artist. But in fact, the proto pop artist was Pauline Bodie, and we're gonna bring images of her work and also images of her in front of her paintings. But let me just bring already one, and you can see. I'm gonna bring possibly what I feel it's the most beautiful piece of work that she did personally. It's not the most pop art, but it's a painting that I have seen before, and I never connected this painting with Pauline Bodie's persona, I guess. I just thought it was someone who did a self-portrait. This is a painted self-portrait of Pauline Bodie, and it's a very unusual portrait because her paintings contain a lot of narrative, post-war or Cold War narrative. There's a lot of capitalism themes and feminism as well in her paintings, and Hollywood and consumer culture But this painting in particular, this is something, or it's a piece. It's my favorite piece of her. It's something that we're gonna show um, some of her paintings in which, and some of the images in which she actually very provocatively poses in front of her work, and we'll discuss exactly why she does that. But it's good that we start with this one because this is the painting that reveals the most of Pauline Bodie's persona. It's the most vulnerable. You'll see paintings, some of them are not even Googleable. Some of her paintings, we had to go to some sort of like social media platforms in order to find some of her most beloved pieces of work, because they're a little bit by Zuckerberg standards. They're not appropriate. Anyhow, I find this one the most vulnerable, the one that exposes her the most. But yeah, she was a painter. She studied painting. Her language was painting. She was a visual artist. She went to, I said that, she went to art school, but she was also very beautiful, and she was very young, and I feel she was also an actress. And we can discuss this maybe later when we meet at Clubhouse. Again, if you follow us, Roofless Painters on Clubhouse, we can have a discussion about what you guys think the reason behind her posing in front of her paintings so much compared to her male counterparts. So I'm going to bring some of the images. I'm going to try to go quick because I want to keep this under 30 minutes. This is a very good example. This is one of her paintings, and then she is posing with her painting. And in this case, she's posing behind. So from the technical point of view, what also want to talk about is how we're going to envision this assignment. Because self-portraiture, it's always very confronting. We've done a few, and I think it's very important. We think it's very important to sort of like once in a while to just bring self-portraiture as a means to not only practice portraiture, but also practice live portraiture, and ultimately to get to know ourselves through painting. We always say that you cannot see anything unless you paint it. We are very keen to focus on observation. So if you take that and apply it to self-portraiture, you cannot see yourself unless you paint yourself. So that was a little bit of a tangent or a segue into what we're going to talk about. But yes, giving you different ideas or different examples of how we can do this. We don't have to be in front of our paintings. It doesn't have to be a large painting. We don't have to show our face. It could be a part of our body. So we could just play with different ways of doing this. But yeah, I'm gonna see if I can do a few. This is a very interesting image of her because she's posing in front of her self-portrait. It's not just posing in front of a painting. It's posing in front of a painting and wearing the same thing. And let me just say that the little we read about Pauline very much it refers to the idea of finding her identity in a very patriarchal environment or art world. So she is not just doing this just because, she wants to provoke. This is also an exploration of femininity, if you ask us. So there's a tease, but there's also a confrontation. And there are a lot of like male figures. This painting is very famous for portraying herself around some of her icons and some of the images that she felt familiar with. So it is an exploration of how does she see herself in this male dominant art world that she had to navigate. And unlike her male counterpart painters, she found herself needing to become the focal point in and outside her painting. So anyhow, we'll try to elaborate a little bit more exactly what she tried to do, but I'm gonna bring other images. She was her icons, her movie icons, Alain Delon, Marilyn Monroe, and who else did she love? There was another female actress, but in the typical fashion of mod culture was interested in anything foreign, Italian Vespas, American jazz, fashion. I don't know, because the UK has been always the bedrock for fashion trends, obviously. But there is this sort of like idea of outreach to other currents and cultural currents of the time, as a way of breaking with tradition and also rebelling against so culture norms, I would say. But yeah, this is a portrait of her. I love this image, for example, so much. And I'll tell you why from a personal point of view. This is one of her paintings, Alain Delon, okay, on the background. She is playing with gender roles right here. She is very playfully posing in front of her painting by making herself, quote unquote, more masculine, smoking a cigarette, having an attitude, and sort of like having this, even the same, oh, there's a crow outside. Hi. Even with the same of orientation, three-quarter orientation than the portrait. So go back to the idea or the image before, that very sort of like feminine, I should say, or overtly sugar-coated idea of femininity in her painting. And then boom, you have this completely radically different. So this is not just the typical image of an artist in front of their paintings. I'm gonna show you the typical one. Okay, just get ready, because you're gonna hopefully it's gonna put a smile on your face, because it's not an it's an American artist. This is the typical image at the time, 50s and 60s, of an artist, a painter, posing in front of the painting. So notice that there is a completely different ethos in this painting. It's just the hunter. It's the male hunter in front of the trophy. So there is a reason why she was so loved, and she was so famous at the time, because she broke these gender rules, if you ask me. And I'm talking out of my butt, but I'm just trying to be personal in why I feel so passionate about her work. How this sort of like humorous aspect, instead of finding it superficial, I find it actually very radical. So I'm going to bring a couple more, and I'm going to go really fast. But anyhow, I will bring also, okay, another painting. Another posing, or another image of her posing in front of the same painting. This is the Alain Delon Portrait. It's a beautiful painting of Alain Delon with a hat and a flower on top. Very vivid colors. I think I have it. So let's just go back to the same concept of this butch, masculine, changing the gender in front of the painting. She is an artist. She's a visual artist, and she's a performer. She is inserting herself in front of the painting, but she's not just saying, I am the author of this. She is just telling us a story. I love that. I love that about her. I love the paintings, obviously, also. And I'm just going to bring, if I have... this is another very interesting painting. She's not posing in front of it, but you can tell that those images, they're more, I think like a 3 or 4 faces. There's some faces right up here that have I don't know exactly the narrative behind them, but my guess is that these are self-portraits on top. Just because of what I've seen and the paintings that we've seen, I feel like this is another very interesting take on inserting yourself not only in front of your work, but in your work. It's a painting inside of a painting, and there's more than one self-portrait. So this is not just a capricious sort of like superficial, okay, so I'm just gonna pose for the sake of posing. I feel like there's a very strong narrative here between what she intended to do, what she painted, what she loved, and what she was fighting against. So, and do I have any more images? This is another, it's from the same photo shoot, but a different image, same painting, self-portrait. Love this image because she is looking at herself in the painting. And so not just like looking at herself, this is not posing, it's performing. She is just teasing her self-portrait. And my mind just got blown, essentially, because I love that added layer of mischief, of playfulness, and also confrontation, and eroticism. I don't know, I could just go on. Same-sex love, romanticism, yeah. So anyhow, so I just wanted to bring it up. And I'm gonna also show you some other mod painters that were pop painters, female pop painters at the time, that we have no idea. I have no idea, I should speak for myself, that they existed. Bridget Riley, she was a British pop artist, 50s and 60s also, very geometric shapes, abstraction. And this is an image, a very mod image of her, not only posing in front of the paintings, but sort of like in a very minimalistic performance on a directional diatribe of her and her paintings. So she is also part of the book, and I'm gonna get my hands on that book when it's discounted. Sorry, author. There is another mod painter in the book. His name is Robin Denny, and he also did very geometric, abstract paintings. And what is more mod than sunglasses and a white t-shirt? I just wanted to bring this stylistically, but notice the difference between the narrative here. It's less about the painting, and there's no performance, or as much of a performance as before. So maybe we can just talk about it. And I promise you, I'm just gonna cut it like super short, but another image of the Alain Delon with her in front of the painting, same hat, or kind of like replicating the hat, same glasses. This is like almost like a combination of performance and fandom. The fact that she loved maybe Alain Delon as a cultural icon, and then she did a portrait of him and also performed in front of the painting. I just find it so cool. Anyhow, so I'm just gonna show you, maybe I have another one, because she had tons of those posing images. I don't know if it's gonna be, yeah, this is another image of her in front of her painting, in a very classic odalisque. This is a completely different narrative here, very odalisque style. The painting is cropped, so perhaps we could talk about a composition here that you could use in our collection of paintings this week. And by the way, if you're listening to this in a podcast form, you can watch all the paintings and the slides on our YouTube video that's going to be on our channel, Roofless Painters on YouTube. So I just wanted to mention that. And finally, I'm just going to bring maybe the British artist, the mod pop British artist, most famous, who is still living, David Hockney. A photo, an image from the 60s, I believe. Mod. Fashion style. A painting, different narrative, obviously. But this was a thing. Posing like that was a thing. David Hockney in his studio, I think this painting sold for 169 million, or maybe it was something else, I don't know, recently or a few years ago. Another mod style posing in front of painting. And I'm just gonna bring another one of this. Oh, let me just bring one of, it didn't, oh yes. So this is one of the paintings that you cannot find online. This is by Pauline Bodie. And you can see, I don't know if you could, it doesn't show the entire of the painting, but underneath she's playing with fonts, with geometry. The word bum is written underneath, and she creates this stage. And then it's a self-portrait of her butt. And I love the intersection of styles, the hyper-realism with geometric illustration, and the fact that this almost feels like a marionette theater. Conceptually, it's amazing. And this is to me, it's another example of how it's an invitation to think how she thought of the male gaze and the male dominance in the art world at the time. So that's how I interpret this image. It's not just, I'm just going to show my butt and then hopefully, people will pay attention to my work. But maybe that's the discourse. Maybe it's like, this has come to this, I have to show my butt in order to get some serious or people to take me serious. I don't know. We need to sort of I need to personally learn more about her feminism and how she actually dealt with male dominance in the art world at the time. Because I feel like there are a lot of messages there that we could just also recognize today. But yeah, I love this painting. And I'm going to end essentially, take a look at this painting, the painting of her butt. And perhaps this will make more sense. To me, this is a much more naked image. It's a much more, it's an image of a more naked person than the one with the self-portrait showing the butt. It's just the intensity, the sadness, the strength at the same time, not to mention the beautiful way it's painted, and also this sort of like smudge next to the shaded area of the face. I just feel like, it's a really powerful, very, very vulnerable, exposed or exposing herself. All right, so this is it. We're going to call this webinar, we're going to call it Posing Painter's Painting. Okay, so we're just going to go back to last year when we did the Painter's Painting, and because there's something similar about the self-portrait of us painting in the studio, and this is a self-portrait of us holding one of our paintings. So Posing Painter Painting, that's the title. Register online. It's already on the calendar. We're gonna send an email. If you register, it's only $20. You're gonna get a bonus for a Roofless Ink Colloquium on Tuesday evening. It's super fun. We feature paintings on our gallery for sale. We've been selling work ever since we were more serious about bringing our gallery to life. And I cannot wait to continue this conversation live on Clubhouse. So this is what you need to do. If you haven't done it already, we have a list of people that we're going to invite. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to end the, and this is going to work live, by the way. If you listen to this in 2035, which we hope there's still going to be a planet, maybe there will not be. Sorry for the interruption. Download the app Clubhouse. There are a ton of like apps with the same name. I don't know. It's just the one with the face profile of a face. Follow us by clicking at the magnifying glass and typing Roofless Painters. I don't think you need an invite, but if you do, we're gonna send you a text with an invite, and then make sure that you follow us there, because we cannot pull you in unless you follow us. And the way we decided to do this, we're gonna keep a closed room on Clubhouse. They're essentially yes, you can, Laura. Yes. Yes, I think you can. You can pin people in if you want. Yes, if I assign you as a moderator. Yeah, of course. But what I wanted to say also, think of Clubhouse essentially as a panel discussion. Yes, I can. So once I open the room, and then I'll just, if you follow us on Clubhouse, Laura, I will just grab your name and bring you to the room. If you don't, I cannot do that. So only open rooms are basically up for grabs, and everyone can jump in. But we want to keep this like safe. We want to make sure that it's a safe space. No one pops in and kind of like takes over our conversation or whatever. We want to start. It's our first room hosting, so we want to start with sort of like a private room, only us. So we have a list of people that either receive the email or paint with us or watch us live on Instagram, and then you'll just get a notification. You don't have to do anything. You'll get a notification. You just click on the notification and you'll just be in the room. And you can be a passive listener. Don't feel obligated at all. I have to say that as an artist and educator, this is a really interesting platform, because I feel like it really connects with people, allows for connection with people, and it doesn't require spending time creating content, typing, posting, tagging, hashtagging. It's so exhausting, and it's so and it's essentially working for someone else. But all right, so not too bad. 11:40. I'm gonna close this presentation, and in a couple of minutes I'll just pull you in Clubhouse, and you'll get a notification. Please join us, so then I can wait to hear what you guys think about the whole thing, and if you have any questions about it, we can just discuss it. All right, I'll see you on the other side.